So today I'm going to create a unique fall table setting. I am not going to incorporate pumpkins or gourds, and I'm not going to use the colors we associate mostly with fall, those yellows and oranges. Instead, I'm going to create what I'm referring to as a chic farmhouse, or maybe more of a farmhouse meets modern table setting. I'm going to use a theme based around an apple fall harvest because apples are fall fruits, and my family, we love apples. We have an apple a day, and I thought it would be a little different and unique and fun to create a table setting kind of around that concept. So I'm going to incorporate some elements that have to do with a farm style table setting and a modern style table setting. So watch me, because I know you can easily go and recreate this table setting once I'm done. For the foundation of this tablescape, I am going to start with a white linen tablecloth. Yes, that's right, it's going to be a white linen tablecloth, but it's a little unique and different in that I am not going to use a pressed tablecloth. I took this tablecloth, I put it in the wash, I then put it in the dryer, and I did not iron it. So when you take a look at it, it is casual, it's comfy, and it just has that nice everyday look about it. In fact, I'm going to take and bring it closer so you can see what I'm referring to. Look how wonderful this looks. It just has a nice crushed look that really only linen gives to you. And again, it has such a wonderful, comfortable, casual air about it. There we go. That's perfect. That's kind of the look I'm going for. Something that has that everyday casualness about it. Nothing that has a formalness to it. I don't want it for this kind of table setting. So for me, this kind of has a bit of a farmhouse feel to it. Now I'm going to add white plates which cross both that farmhouse and that modern look to them. And the white plates that I am using are just a very simple white plate. There's nothing ornate, there's no decorations to them, which is why they're perfect for this kind of place setting. Here's a very quick close-up of the plate I decided to use. Okay, so on top of my white plate, I'm going to add a more modern looking plate. This is where I'm crossing that farmhouse to modern look. And I'm also kind of going to be adding a little bit of that chicness I mentioned to you. So the plates I decided to use have a really pretty red geometric pattern to it. And that's again where I'm kind of crossing that line from farmhouse to chic modern. I'm just going to take these plates and put it right in the middle of my white plate. If you notice, each one of these plates has a different design on it. In fact, here's a close-up of one of them. Also notice that there's a really nice, soft, light brown edge to it. To me, that has a little bit of a rustic quality to it, and so then it works well with that farmhouse crossover look. All right, and now in the middle of my salad plate, I'm going to add little red ramekin bowls. I decided on the ramekin bowls, one, because the red was going to pull out the red in the plates, but at the same time it was going to kind of break up that geometric pattern so it wasn't quite as obvious on my table. It's a little bit more subtle. And to me, ramekins can definitely work with any kind of table design, whether it's modern or farmhouse. So I'm deciding to just put those right in the middle of my plate. Here's a quick close-up of one of them. Notice how it has a similar brown edge around it, which complements my salad plates very nicely. There we have it. that is the basis for my place settings. Then I'm going to take and put the flatware around. Now the flatware I've chose to use is a very simple pattern. Nothing that's going to be very ornate. Again, it's going to have a very classic modern line to it. A fun tidbit of information, this flatware was actually my mom and dad's. I just love that sleek line that it has. All right, next I'm going to put out the glasses I chose for this table setting. Now, I decided to go with these really just simple, clear water glasses. To me, they have that very modern, simple lines to them. I'm putting those just right above the knife, between the plate and the top of the knife. And then below that, I'm going to add my red wine goblets. These definitely have that vintage, possible farmhouse, but really more of that vintage feel to them. And the red works perfectly with the red I have in the rest of the place settings. All right, here's a quick close-up of the water glass I'm using, and one of the red wine glass or goblet that I decided to use. Okay, now to incorporate my apple harvest theme into my place setting, I decided to do something a little different, and I DIY'd my napkin rings. All I did is I took some apple slices and I dried them in the oven. It's so simple and easy to do. But the one thing to make sure is that when you dry your apple slices, make sure you take a toothpick and punch a hole in them before you dry them. That way they do not break when you try to punch a hole in them after they're dried. So I took and dried apple slices, punched the hole in them, and then once they're all dry, I took some twine and fed it through that hole of the apple slice. And they turned out so cute. In fact, let me show you a close-up of it. Okay, look how cute those are. Doesn't that just look like the easiest thing you can do? And how I have the twine going through the apple slice. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this twine that I have my apple slice on, and I'm going to take my napkin, and these napkins are DIY linen napkins. Again, super easy DIY. There's no sewing required, no sewing needed. You do not need to have any experience with a needle and thread. I will actually put the link down below to my website on how you can create them yourself. So I took the napkins, folded them into a triangle, then right here in the middle, I just pinched it, pulled down about a third of the way, and then I took my DIY apple napkin rings and I tied the twine around there and just tied them to the top of the napkin. That's it, super easy. It turns out so cute. You're going to be so happy with how they look on your table. And then I'm going to just take and put that right to the left of the fork. And here's the close-up of how it looks on the napkin. All right, so next I need to create the centerpiece for my apple fall harvest table setting, which obviously means I need to incorporate apples. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the basket of apples I have behind me, and I got this basket at Michael's along with the faux red apples in it, but obviously you can use real apples. It just depends on what your preference is. I kind of like the faux apples, or at least these, because they do look like real apples to me, but it also means I can leave it on my table for a couple days and not worry about maybe getting bad while they're sitting out. So anyway, I'm going to take this basket of apples and I'm going to turn it on its side as if the apples are spilling out. And of course, when I do it, I'm going to need to kind of make some adjustments because they're probably not going to spill out exactly how I want them to look. So I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging. There we go. I'm happy with the way that looks. And then on the other side of my table, I have a white farmhouse pitcher that I have filled with dark red mums, which are perfect, you know, for fall. They're a fall flower. And I just think that they pick up the color of the apples and the reds that I have on the table. And then I'm going to take my extra apples that I have over here, and I'm just going to put them around the pitcher to give some more interest, but also to balance the apples on the table as well. And then for the final piece of my centerpiece, I picked up a serving board. I got this one at Michael's, and I think it's perfect for this chic farmhouse table setting that I've created, because the wood makes me think of farmhouse, and then the marble side definitely has a more modern, chic feel to it. So it's a perfect crossover between those two styles. And I'm just going to take and put this right in the middle of my table. And the idea I have is that I can then use it for the charcuterie board. I can put cheeses, sliced apples, some dried berries and nuts on it. And it's a wonderful kind of grazing board for my guests when we first sit down. So there you have it, my completed fall apple harvest table setting that's a bit of a crossover from modern to farmhouse. I know you can easily recreate this yourself. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my next one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.